Hello, greetings to you, my dear students. Today we are going to see one very interesting topic, my dear students, and it's not a completely an academic session. And now I'm going to tell you one very interesting and small cow story. For what purpose, sir? Sir, we are so adults, sir. Why we want stories and all, sir? And this story, it's the promise from me, my dear students. Once if you hear this story, you don't forget. You will never ever forget Newton's three laws after hearing the story till your lifetime. After hearing this story, you will never forget, my dear students. It's the promise from me. Yes, actually, this story my teacher taught to me, my physics teacher, when I was studying 11th standard. On the time, he taught me this story. Still now, it's been 10 years. At 2014, I heard this story, but still now I have remembered. After 30 years also, I will remember this story. In the same way, after hearing this lecture, you will also remember the entire story as well as the Newton's three law, my dear students. Actually, the basics. You will know the basics. To enter into that basics, you want some other motivation. If you have that much motivation, you people no need. But always, everyone knows in the entire world, most of the people know what is Newton's third law. But no one knows, very few of them knows Newton's first law as well as the Newton's second law. To remember that, this story helps you, my dear students. It's a very interesting story. Let me tell you, my dear students. So without further delay, let's start our story. So in our story, there is a man. He's going to a cow market to buy one cow for his home purpose. To have a milk, he planning to buy one cow, and so he went to the cow market and he bought one cow and he came to his home. After he came to his home, what he will do, my dear students? It's obvious, right? He tied this cow, his cow, to one, it's like a some stand, to one stand, or might be a tree, whatever might stick. With a rope, he tied it. So now you can see, my dear students, he is watching his cow near his home. He might take rest also after a few minutes, but this cow going to be in the same position whatever long time he will take rest or whatever anything. Why? Because it is tied. So unless and until he unties this rope, she will be in this position only. This cow can't move further because it is tied. Students, don't think, sir, what if the probability of it unfortunately untied and it ran away? Don't think, my dear, like that, my dear students. Don't take the mathematical concept to physics. Okay, just for your physics understanding, I'm saying this story. Okay, so unless and until he unties this, she will be, this cow is going to be in the same position. Right, my dear students? That's the Newton's first law, my dear students. Law of inertia. So what's our saying? What is law of inertia and is that true? Yes, my dear students. So unless and until he unties this, she will be at rest only. This cow is going to be at rest. The same thing he, Newton's first law. Newton said, unless and until external force applied on the object which is at rest, it can't be moved. Without he unties him, she can't move. This is for living thing. But that is the same rule for objects also. Just think, my dear students, there is a book on your table, and without you are taking or someone is moving, can that object can directly move? It can't, right? Maybe through air, because of the air, very force air, it may fall down. Anything can happen, but for everything, force we needed. The external force we needed. Without that external force, anything can't be moved. That's what, my dear students, he said. That's the first law, the law of inertia. I hope you understood. This is not only, there are two types of inertias, my dear students. One is at rest. Another thing, which is that the moving object. Some objects, when you are driving your car, vehicle, two-wheeler, whatever might be, whenever you are riding, On the time also you need some external force to stop that vehicle. Without that external force, still that fuel finishes, it will goes on, it will moves on the same speed with that constant speed. That's what, there are two types, my dear students, but once if you remember this, you can get that point also. So from our first story, from the first incident, we got to know the law of inertia, my dear students. That's what he also said, Newton's first law, the law of inertia, my dear students. If you read the definition also, that's what he said. First law states that if a body is at rest or moving at a constant speed, see my dear students, at rest as well as constant speed. You have to note these two things, my dear students. I have set an example for rest. At constant speed in a straight line, it will remain at rest or keep moving in a straight line at constant speed unless it is acted upon by a force. So external force is needed, my dear students, to stop the car also moving object, and to move the object which is at rest to move somewhere else also, we need the external force. So whenever you are hearing about Newton's first law, the first thing have to get is law of inertia, my dear students. I hope you understood this first law. Now let's move into the second scene. Then I'll tell what is Newton's second law. Then third scene. Then our story ends, my dear students. So now what happened? He suddenly became frustrated, this guy. Don't know why. And he took one big stick and he was repeatedly hitting this cow. And she is very pity. And she was crying. On the time, how cows usually cry, my dear students, how they usually make the sound, how, it's the very good point, my dear students. From this point only our Newton's second law is there. So when he is repeatedly beating her, hitting her, this cow, on the time, how she will raise her voice, how she will shout, ma, right, my dear students? She sounds like ma, like that she sounds. So that she's expressing her sorrow feeling, like ma. So my dear students, this is the second law. So what I was saying, yes, my dear students, force is equals to, in first thing, first law we have studied about what is force, why we need force. That is the concept of law of inertia. Now what is force? Force means how it equals. It equals to mass into acceleration. Yes, my dear students, F is equals to ma. My dear students, I hope you understood it. So from her sound, from her voice, we made up the Newton's second law formula. Now let's move forward, my dear students. So this is the formula. So what does that M stands for and what does that A stands for, my dear students? Let's see. So the Newton's second law, F is equals to ma, which means mass into acceleration, my dear students. So mass times, if I accelerate something, I will get the force. So force is equals to rate of change of momentum. There is one change at that particular momentum. For a constant mass, force equal. The mass have to be constant, my dear students. Force equals mass times acceleration. Acceleration means what, my dear students? Sudden change of what? Velocity. If there is a sudden change in velocity, that's what we call it as a acceleration. Whenever you are riding the bike, you suddenly accelerate, right? On the time, what happens? Suddenly your bike moves, suddenly your vehicle moves. While increasing the acceleration velocity, because you can't accelerate for so many times, my dear student. For sometimes you will accelerate, after that you will leave, because for straight line, for some distance only you can maintain the acceleration. So only it is mentioned with velocity. That's a change in velocity. Acceleration. Jerk means change in acceleration. Okay, like that they have built. Physics is so interesting topic, my dear students. Maths is also, but compared to maths, physics deals with direct things. Directly we are applying that applied mathematics, like we are directly using that, we are feeling that, we are experiencing that, so that physics feels so good, right? So this is how the second law have made up, my dear students, from our story. I hope still now from scene 1 how Newton's first law, and from scene 2 how Newton's second law have came. Now it's time for third scene, my dear students. So what happened, right? He was repeatedly hitting. After hitting, so it's the official definition, my dear students. This one also you can just go through it. So she got angry and she hit him, and he have fallen down. So what is this theory, my dear students? Everyone knows, right? How long she can bear the pain? It is also a living thing, right? So there is an opposite reaction. So this one, Newton's third law, almost everyone knows. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, my dear students. So that's what the Newton's third law states, that, my dear students. I hope you understood it. If you have any kind of doubts, otherwise some other theory I wants to explain like this, if you find this story very useful, as I said in the starting of my lecture, starting of this video, if you find it so useful, please comment it down, my dear students. I feel so happy for you. And if there is any mistake, or if there is any correction, any suggestion, please post that also, my dear students. And whether you get the topic and how I related, I hope everything you got, that you got it. If you have any problem, or otherwise you want, sir, some other things I want like this, please continue with some physics lectures like this, some short tricks, some stories like this. Please comment it down, which gives me motivation to do so much video like this also, my dear students. Apart from mathematics, I'll do such videos also for you. Okay, my dear students. Okay, thank you. Bye bye for now.